So in this video, I'm going to explain how to uh, perform correlation analysis and regression analysis using SPSS, and also how to interpret the results in a separate Word file. So this file, I will be sending you the file, the data file. Here you can see we have math attendance, stat attendance, and so on. So we will just find whether there is some correlation between math attendance and grand average. So obviously attendance is a very important portion, so there may be some connection between math attendance and grand average. So let us find out using correlation. So click on analyze, then we go to correlate by variate. So this is the place where you need to put all the variables. So here we are going to test with math attendance and grand average. You can also see there are a few other options over here: Pearson's, Kendall's, Taubes, and Spearman. And this Pearson test can be conducted whenever we have at least one of the test variables as scale variable. And in case we have both the variables are ordinal, then Spearman's correlation coefficient should be used. Now, without going into any more details here, we will just directly click on OK. So this is the output that is there. Now this is basically, it looks like a matrix. You see in the left hand side we have math attendance and grand average. In the top also we have math attendance and grand average. So this position, this is the correlation coefficient that is obtained by this SPSS. So math attendance is obviously related to math attendance, so the correlation is 1. Math attendance with grand average is 0.899. Also it says the level of significance. I will come to that just in a minute. From grand average, now grand average has a correlation with math attendance is 0.899, and obviously we have grand average and grand average, that has to be 1. Now as you know that the correlation is basically a commutative between the variables. That means correlation between x and y and x, they are the same. So that's why you can see here math attendance with grand average is 0.899. Also grand average with math attendance is 0.899. So two places we have the correlation coefficient. Now coming to the significance, or which is the p-value. Now this will be used in the interpretation of the result. Usually correlation analysis is basically kind of testing of hypothesis, where we have a null hypothesis and an alternative hypothesis, and the null hypothesis is usually that there is no correlation between the variables. So that's what you need to write in the Word file. So Word file, you have to write, just give a heading. This is correlation analysis between math attendance and grand average. I'll just underline that. Now the null hypothesis which is 80 is there is no correlation between the variables respective names of the variables you need to put. Just make it a little smaller. And the alternative hypothesis. The correlation is significant. So now you need to take the output here. So I'll just go to the output file, click on the output file, click Control C, coming back to the Word file, we paste that table. So from the above table, we see that the correlation between math attendance and average was, in full words, average is 0.8899. Also, since the p-value is 0.000, which is obviously less than 0.01, the correlation is significant. At 1% level. So this is all about the correlation analysis in SPSS. Now we will go to the regression analysis. Now the main difference between correlation and regression is, in case of correlation, we just find whether there is some kind of relation between two variables or not, whether they're associated or not, in other words. But in case of regression analysis, some variable will be dependent. One variable will be dependent, and there will be one or more variables which will be independent. That means based on the independent variables, we are going to predict the value of the dependent variable. So let us look at this same data set. In this data set, it is possible that there are some other students outside this this 25 students. There is a 26th student who did not sit for the examination for economics, and we are bound to put a grand average for that student also. So we can understand that there is a high correlation between these variables. So except the marks echo, if all other data are available, so we can somewhat predict the grand average using regression analysis. So let us see how it's done. So we go to analyze and go to regression and linear regression. Now here the dependent variable would be grand average, and except economics marks I have all other values, so they are selected as the independent variables. So I have 4 independent variables and 1 dependent variable. So this kind of regression is known as multiple regression. In theoretical portion, what you have done is a simple linear regression where only one variable is independent and one variable is dependent. Now without going into anything, we can just straightaway we can put OK, and these are the outputs. you can see there are a number of outputs here. Number of tables have come here. 1, 2, 3, and 4 tables. Try to understand every table one by one. The first table, it tells us what are the variables that are entered. I mean, what are the dependent variables, and what is the dependent variable and what are the independent variables. And then we have a model summary. That is, in the model summary you can see there is a capital R. Now, capital R is the multiple correlation coefficient. This is multiple correlation coefficient, and also we have a value of R square, and we also have adjusted R square. The topic that the portion of the tables that I'm not going to mention, those just skip for now. We don't need it right now. And also we will look into we can also skip the ANOVA table for this examination. For coefficients, see, this table will actually give us the exact multiple regression equation. So one by one I will show you how to write the interpretation. So let's go to the Word file and we'll just give a heading, regression analysis. So I just write the dependent variables name. Later on we will use the notation dv. So here the dependent variable is grand average, and the independent variables are, so we have 4 variables as independent variables. So we have math attendance, chat attendance, then we have probably marks math, marks stat. So these are the 4 variables we are having. Just check whether you are writing the exact variable name or not. Now after that we will just paste the model summary here. So basically the independent variables are called predictor and dependent variable is called basically dependent variable. Now in the model summary you can see the capital R value is 0.972. So we write from the above table capital R is equal to 0.972, which is a multiple correlation coefficient. The adjusted R square equal to 0.945. Therefore, now the adjusted R square actually gives you how much you are able to predict the value of the dependent variable in this regression model. So therefore the independent variables are able to predict the dependent variable by 94.5%. That means basically how nice or how well our data fits into the model. Now after that, actually we also have now the coefficients. You can copy this table and paste here. And here also I think I have missed that you need to write a null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is the regression model does not fit the regression model fits significantly. So here also you see there is a significant or a p-value is available here from the ANOVA table, which you need to put here before the coefficients. So from the ANOVA table you can see the p-value once again is 0.000. So since the p-value is 0.000, which is less than 0.01, the regression model is significant. Now from this coefficient we can actually write down the multiple regression equation. So we will just, the dependent variable is Mark's average. I guess it's a grand average is equal to, well, not coming. Now you can just write it simply. Grand average is equal to the first, we write the constant, plus this is the coefficient for math attendance, plus the coefficient of stat attendance is 0.048, then we have the coefficient of Mark's math, and also the coefficient of Mark's stat. So I guess I'll just reduce the size so that it fits in one line. So in case you just represent grand average by W, or let's say grand average is Y. and math attendance is x1, stat attendance is x2, math is x3, marks stat is x4. Then the regression equation can be written like this: 0.091 x1 plus 0.048 x2 plus 0.305 x3 plus 0.660 x4. So this is the multiple regression equation, and this is it. I guess you have understood it properly. If you have not, then you can contact me anytime. I will help. Thank you.